Bella, 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 Bella!
Traveling to Nepal.
Nepal, Dps Vod review game. You said that it was toxic, that you had gold damage, that, probably a loss is the reason you're showing it to me. Tracer gameplay. Tracer's Paul Gores. We love a Tracer. Now, pardon me if I go a little bit quiet. 1 in the morning. I'm a little bit hyped, a little bit not. So we'll see what happens. First thing to notice is you already don't have one player who's picked a hero, right? And you have two options. You can flame, or you can just kind of understand that you're not going to be able to have first touch here. And like, this isn't even a game thing, you know, like nobody should be playing around the fact that they have a teammate, 2 tanks that are in spawn. Oh, no, the fact that you don't have like a second DPS, right? You shouldn't have to play around that fact, but sometimes that's the way the game is, right? And you have to adapt to it just like you would a lever on your opponent's team. So initially that's going to make it really hard. Other than that, we're playing in a brawl, Maycree, Far Mercy, right? This is going to be a little bit difficult on Tracer, and we're going to have to pick our openings very, very well. This comp, to me, screams the play style of just surviving to get value, right? You can maybe trade on a McCree, right? If you outplay his cooldowns, right? If you don't get dinked, if he's not getting pocketed, yeah. Or you can just hold the angle, and the Kree's like, damn, I'm going to kill that Tracer. I have to, bro. Please, please. I need to. I'm realizing now that I probably shouldn't curse in this VOD review, so I can share it with kids, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, maybe I'll clean it up in post. I don't know. The other thing I'm looking at is this Ana. Ana, notoriously good. It is against Peeling Mercy. And the other thing you can do as Tracer against Far Mercy is to play for when the Pharah is on the ground. And specifically when the Mercy follows. In lower elos, Mercies are just going to be like, touch ground, go in air, touch ground, right? And you can look to pressure the two. But it's paramount that you just don't die. The other thing I want to take advantage of here is this Zarya, because her bubbles are probably going to be very bad. So, with all that being said, you are by far the most extended member of your team, with healing that is mediocre, with 2 tanks that are going to struggle against a brawl, and into something very, very pokey from your opponent. So let's see what happens.
Sigma, present.
Now, hold on.
Nice recall. Dang, this is looking good. Honestly, your team lost here, so we're just gonna rewind back time. So initially we are not respecting what they're on, right? You have no idea what they're on, and that's part of your job as scouting, right? Is looking, but look at where your team is in comparison to you, right? And realistically, you can see their Far Mercy. You can also hear them, right? Use your ears more than your eyeballs, because you only have 150 HP. The same could apply right here, right? If you just play right here and keep some blinks, right? You can go, oh, they're on McCree. I should be more cognizant and mind game them, right? But if we're already right here by the time we know that they're on McCree, we're in a very dangerous position. The other thing I'm noticing a lot is your movement with Tracer is like here, 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 right? You blink forward, blink backwards a lot. And that can be very frustrating as somebody who tries to shoot at a tracer. But it can also be a very much waste of a cooldown if you're doing it mindlessly and or that's your only form of movement, right? With tracer, we can be so dynamic with the way that we play angles, right? Imagine if you play this natural cover, right? And then you just sit here and you poke out. Bop, 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 bop. All right, reload. Bop, 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 bop. Oh, reload. Oh, and you're coming closer? I'll blink over here. Bop, 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 bop. I'll double blink right here. Bop, 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 bop. Oh, mega. Piece of candy. Right, and now you've played Ring Around the Rosie with McCree instead of saying, hey, I'm going to out-aim you. Oh, I got to watch out for the flashbang. Right, so we have a lot of options here. The other thing that I really noticed about this first fight, like the fact that you didn't die here is so good. It's so good that you didn't die. I know you felt like mega pressured, and then I loved what you did against the Reinhardt. You kept pressuring and poking, right? And this is very effective, but then what you do is you give up all agency on the game, right? By dropping right here. Because by dropping right here, the only things you can do is double blink back to safety, maybe even all 3 blinks. Or double blink in and you're relying on your team to do something and you know that Roadhog just inted, right? So we actually lost all of our agency on the map. Yes, the McCree and Zarya are coming for us. But that's fine, right? We can't give up our only play on the map. We cannot give it up that easily. And so, I mean, even if that means just having to blink all the way back here and playing as safely as possible, you're still occupying the minds of 2 players. And you're not going away. But right here, they see you drop, and then watch how McCree Zarya play. They're like, oh, well... Tracer's no longer my problem, and I mean that's also your elo kind of thing, right? It's a low elo mentality to be like, there's not a threat anymore. And when you dropped, I thought, I really thought that you were gonna spend just a little bit of time, poke, and then recall back up, right, to regain the agency on the map. But you didn't, and it's really hard. It's really harmful. Also, your Genji's off of Narnia, but that's irrelevant. To me, you lost this fight when you came down here. Because there's nothing really here for you, right? If they want to swarm the point, which is exactly what they do, right? With all of the rockets shooting in from above, the McCree just playing aim trainer, and the Rein Zarya basically getting to swing on anything that touches. It's going to be really tough for you to get out, and luckily you do. You actually survive a very long amount of time, much more than I would assume you would. So that was really great. You've already farmed Pulse Bomb, which is awesome. That's a tough sleep. This moment. You know how Reddit Lucio's like... You've probably VOD reviewed with somebody about Reddit Lucio. And Reddit Lucio sees a target that can get Reddited and realizes that it's half HP. And then Reddit Lucio's like, dang, well, I guess I'm going. I guess I'm inting. Like, what else am I supposed to do? On Tracer, that's totally viable. Also, you're not here, but you have recall in 2 seconds. Maybe not. Oh, but you could have gone, right? You could have gone. And that's such a micro thing that you could have just double blinked. She would have naded, right? And then you just recall and you make the same play that you did, right? But otherwise, we're not getting value out of all of our stuff. So we get slept, so what? That's gonna happen sometimes. Again, though, you put yourself in really cramped space. I asked Garrett the other day, which is better for a tracer, open space or closed space, right? Closed space, open space. And Garrett was like, well, probably closed space, right? And to an extent, I agree, but also there's something very important about open space that often gets overlooked, right? And it's the ability to play from different engagement angles. When you go down into closet, you really only have the one. and you can't get back out, right? It's very different than like this tunnel, which is you can only enter one way, exit one way. But this says you can only enter one way, and the exit is onto a Rein Zarya, right? And to a lesser extent, this is also closed space. But as Tracer players with only 150 HP, we have to recognize the amount of space that we're playing in. And specifically on this map, I would like to see less going down here, unless it's to recall back out, right? Just because you don't... It's very tough because your team's not going to be one that can contest and hold the space on point. Let's see what happens. Your Genji's done nothing. Your Roadhog did nothing. Continues to do nothing, right? And sometimes we're going to have brain dead teammates, and we can't really do anything about it. Especially when they're toxic. So... I suppose you know how to handle that. I would have been much more careful, much more sneaky, not careful, sneaky, right? We don't have to shoot, we don't have to poke, we have Pulse Bomb, right? Pulse Bomb is our win condition. What beats Pulse Bomb in this comp? Rein Shield? Flashbang? On a Sleep? Zarya Bubble, right? That's going to be the biggest key. Zarya's Bubble. Where does she stick it? When? And is it in a spot where you can stick, right? So I would be paying very, very, very much attention to the Zarya Bubble cooldowns. But I say that because look at this. These guys are ignorant. They have no idea, right? You don't even need to blink here. Honestly, don't even blink, right? Something you'll learn about Tracer if you continue to play her through the ladder is knowing when to blink and when not to blink. You always have to blink for a reason. And the more you think about why you blink for a reason early in learning Tracer, the more you'll do it later without having to think about it, right? Like when do you switch between heals and speed on Lucio? It's something similar. I personally don't know when you switch, right? I can think about it a little bit and have an idea, but the same applies to Tracer. If you can think about it on your own time, when should you blink, right? Oh, there's a target out of position. Oh, I need to get to the point faster to touch. Oh, my team's engaging and I need to be there with them, right? If there's not a reason to blink, there's no need to blink, right? And quite frankly, you have two players in spawn, so you shouldn't be able to do anything at this point, right? Nobody should even be poking on your side of the Unironically, if you have ult, there's no reason to poke. Zenyatta can poke, Sigma to an extent, but it is devastating if you die early here, and all you've done is say, hey Ana, I shoot you in the back. Here's where I'm staging from. Here's where I'm coming to hit you from, right? So be sneakier. Be sneakier. Because now Zarya's going to come and flush you out, right? And then you're like, dang. And now you've lost your staging. And you know, Bella, because you are a smart player, that Tracer doesn't engage so well through the middle of her team, right? So you've already given up your off angle before your team's ready to go with you. And so you have to spend a lot of time repositioning. Think if you were over in the corner, right? Imagine if your team took that rotation, you flick, you hit this guy, you're done, right? You won the fight single-handedly. Instead, we go a little bit too early, we get flushed out, and we're stuck shooting Rein Shield as our team and their team commit on point. Unfortunately, in your backline, this is stuff you can't control, right? Zen getting slept when he has trans. As far as in No Man's Land, I don't even know how this far it gets here. But it's we can only control our own play. Double blink, stick. Double blink, stick, right? At this point, they're split up enough that you need to go make a play for your team, and your team's looking for a go button. And this is already showing me that we're not going to go this fight for at least 5 more seconds. Oh. Stick. Atta girl. way to be. Way to be. Really smart target prio there, right? Shoot something that can die. Great. Hello? Use your ears, right? What was coming back, right? What can you pick off? You don't have to eliminate a second healer. This Pharah is legitimately freelo, right? She's gonna have to use her abilities to jet into the air, right? And you don't even have to hard engage on it, right? Luckily your Zen is popping trans. Hopefully he makes it onto point. I don't know why every time I spectate you, you're in the ship. And out. Brilliant. Unfortunate. Sometimes we can afford to wait, sometimes we can't. Just one of those things, man. I don't know if your team gets a touch here, but you've played very, very well initially here, as well as you can, with an optimal teammate, right? Oh, clean. Yeah, you were probably your team's touch. Don't be greedy with that recall. Nice try. Well done. Hey, no worries. Don't feel like you have to force pulse bomb ever. Every time I see Tracer gameplay, I was telling Asian Andy this today. Every time I see Tracer gameplay, you don't have to use pulse bomb and you'll be diamond at all. I firmly believe that if you do not use pulse bomb but you play every other aspect of Tracer perfectly, right? Positioning, target focus, staging, mechanics, right? If you play all of those things perfectly, you will get to diamond without even having to think about pulse bomb. But it should be reassuring, because if you get even one bit of damage out of pulse bomb, that's value. Right. So that was good Tracer gameplay, as well as it could be. Team comp check. Oh, let's look at your team first, right? Sigma, Ryan, less than optimal brawl, double main heal, so you're gonna have a lot of HP. McCree May, meta DPS. They, on the other hand, must have teleported, I think. Oh, but that doesn't make any sense. They were just quicker. They were just faster. Ryan Mercy, yes. Far Mercy, which is going to be a lot of poke damage, more of the same, and you're going to have to rely on your McCree to kind of deal with that on May. But help out when you can, right? It is more likely helpful to poke at May, or poke at Farah and Mercy, even if you think you can't hit them, than it is to hit Ryan's shield, right? Ryan's shield's not what's going to win them the game this game, right? The threat is Farah and Mercy. Not Ryan's shield, not really Reinhardt, even though you guys are essentially the same on Brawl. Your healers can out-sustain it, right? It's Farah Mercy that's going to be your biggest issue. On more brawly stuff, right? Play around bubble cooldowns, all of that good stuff. Your Sigma's already going away from the rest of the team, so if at all possible, theoretically you can calm that, but if you can't, it'll be okay, and you just hope they get value as well. Critical here is what we're going to do with our walls. Sure. Not too bad. This wall is really, really tough, especially when you don't get first, right? I believe you can hit this wall, or somewhat similar to this wall, right? And really deny anything that's healing right here, unless they drop or like hold the angle here. But again, realistically, the problem isn't going to be them brawling into you. The problem's going to be this Farah Mercy. And it's going to be really tough to deal with it on May. So we switch Ashe. That's great. So we're opening ourselves up to like a little bit of do your own thing, solo queue kind of thing. Great shot. Nice. Great. Are you tracking who's up, who's down right now? What are the numbers? Great shot. No. Shoot what you dynamited. Shoot what you dynamited. Shoot what you dynamited. It's the Ana. It's the Ana. Shoot the Ana, right? And then we get unlucky. Well, I'm not gonna call it unlucky, right? You had 100 HP. That's the moment where you have to say, hey, I need health, and I don't know if it has to be a Mega or my Ana or my BAP, right? My Baptiste died in that early fight, and we have to be omniscient. But shoot the Ana, shoot the Ana, shoot the Ana. I don't think you find her either way, but anything that you hit with dynamite should be the prio, not what else, right? Your team's not even able to get the rest of this. They're swinging on a Zarya that somehow managed to get here. Who knows? Da 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 da. And you're fighting out on point. Your Ryan gets nano.
They are getting on.
You're still up. You're in a really good spot here. All things considered. Despite being on double main heal, your healers can't heal anything. Oh my god. Good high ground acquisition. Oh, you hear steps. Good ears. Good ears. Good shot. That Pharah is living in your brain rent-free. And I hope you know what I mean by that. Nice try. I told you that Pharah was going to be the issue. You wanted to deal with it all the time. How do you beat Pharah Mercy? There are two ways. Two ways, right? You kill the Pharah Mercy, and then it's a easy clap. Or you play so much onto the Pharah's team that she doesn't get value by the time you've eliminated them, right? So let me play this fight back for you. As though you don't go for the Pharah, right? And I loved the fact that you had your ears and you heard the Pharah on coast. I love that. But you can still take in that knowledge and then go back to what you were doing. Right? You hear it? Here's what happens on choke, right? You have two options. You can go hunt the Pharah, or you can look main. Oh no, I didn't even think it was this way, right? Imagine this. Dynamite plus headshot equals dead mercy, right? Other than that, dynamite and choke always pog. Healer's super late. And your team gets rolled. Because they have a better brawl than you do, and there's no way for you to help. So I understand going for that Pharah, right? Because you can do two things. You can make it a 6v5 by eliminating the Pharah first, or you can go 6v5 by eliminating the team and ignoring the Pharah, right? Getting value before Pharah does. So those are your two options in my opinion. We eventually die out here, and that's okay. Super stagger. Your brain is correct in a lot of the ways, and your mechanics are good as well. But your brain is not always evaluating the situation as a DPS. What a huge purple. Your team is getting rolled. They're taking fights before your team is ready. Other than that, you're about even right here, and no longer after the McCree pops. Nice. And realistically, this far, Mercy hasn't gotten much value after you guys swapped. Nice, nice. Good shots. Good shots. Hopefully your team finds a touch. They do. I love your shots.
Just like old times.
I need healing.
Yeah, there you go. You found your I need healing button.
My ultimate fully healed.
Bob.
Oh, oh, oh.
Thanks.
Name.
Take your medicine.
Step right up.
Oh, okay.
My ultimate is almost ready.
I want to take a look at your aim style in a moment.
Smoke him out of there.
Oh, that's unlucky. Doesn't fall. Use Bob. Use Bob. Use Bob. You're holding Bob like it's Lucio beat. Not punished here. Just watching to see how the rest of it plays out. It's my understanding that you guys lose this, but
Thank you.
take a look here, right?
My ultimate
70%. If we toss Bob right here, right, the rest of our team really is not in position for it, but it delays this by 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 8 seconds, right? Pending an Ana sleep. Look at how out of position this Zarya is. You don't even have... There's no way for you to know this fact, but she is. Well, maybe there is, because she seems to be low for some reason. But if we delay this push here... If we bob here, 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 if we bob here.
Helden sterben nicht.
Right? We lose ults first. They ult first. In last fight. If we bob any earlier than this, they're not this close. They've had to wait. They've had to pressure this. They've had to really regroup on it, right? Especially since the Zarya was so out of position. She's not even in the fight if you're bobbing up here, right? Even if you're bobbing right here, right? This cuts off a ton of line of sight, right? So we have to go faster in this last fight. And you were so close to death sometimes. And if you die, then that fight is just over. No ifs, ands, or buts. You don't have the bobble. Right. And this Bob is fine. It pressures Reinhardt. But he's just going to get pocketed by the Ana and then slept. It's too late to have a big impact. And, of course, that was the last fight for the map. And that's probably the game. Right. And so there was a lot of really, really good stuff in this game. I would chalk this one up to better team wins. Right. But there's a lot we can learn from it, right? I think that Tracer gameplay in the early, in that first map was really, really good, with a lot of potential upside that we just need to continue to work on and unlock. May was bad, so you switched off it onto an Ashe where you were shooting very, very well. Every time I watch you play, I'm just going to keep making note that your aim is hold in the middle of like the thorax of somebody and then flick head, thorax, flick head, thorax, flick head. And that's fine. It's keeping your rhythm, right? But I want you to be aware of it, because stuff like that won't necessarily work for tracking heroes, for projectile heroes sometimes, right? So it's some micro flicking that's occurring, which is fine. Just be aware that that's one of your tendencies, right? Same tendency as that tracer blink forward, blink backwards kind of thing. Yeah, and then we switched on to Ashe. We had a good time. Anytime you dynamite something, pressure it, right? Continue to pressure it, because that's what needs the most help from the opponent's side of you, right? Think about it when you're playing support. Whenever your team gets dynamited, or only 2 people get dynamited, where do your healing go? Where is your attention, right? Oh man, my team got dynamited. I guess I have to heal the people who are burning. And double down on that, right? Because dynamite creates pressure. There was one death where we were so hyper focused on the win condition being that we kill the Pharah, and not the win condition being that we kill the enemies. And it can be really tough to decide which one to do. And I think I told you even earlier in the game that one of our win conditions is eliminating Pharah, and maybe that's the one we should prioritize. But Overwatch is such a fluid game that sometimes the advice conflicts with one another. Realistically, I don't think there's anything to be super disappointed about in that game other than that we lost SR, because there was so much to gain from that game and we were learning a lot too. In terms of handling toxic teammates and teammates that aren't pulling their weight, still working that one out myself. So, all right, I'll edit this. I'll clean it up and post it to YouTube. Been a pleasure. Reach out if you have any questions about it. And you'll be the first one to know. 32 minutes. Shit.